Good evening, everyone. Good evening, friends. Right, welcome back to our sessions on Python for AI. It's day 7. So we'll quickly recap what we have covered in the previous session. Then we'll start the class. Right. So in the previous session, we have understood the concept of sequence category data type. Right. So we have started data types. Under data types, we have discussed that in total there are 6 category data types in Python, and these 6 category data types have in total 14 data types. What are the 6 category data types that we have in Python? What are the 6 category data types? The first one is fundamental. Then the next one is sequence. Then followed by list, set, dict, and none type. So these are the 6 category data types that we have in Python, and we have covered fundamental category data types, which has int, float, bool, and complex. Right? So we have covered all the 4 types under the fundamental category data types, followed by we have also understood the types under sequence category data types. What are the different types of data types do we have under sequence category? Under sequence category, we have str, then bytes, byte array, and range data types. So these are the different data types that are available inside sequence category. Right? In the previous session, we have understood the concept of range. Range data type has been understood, and we have also worked out on multiple examples, right? So what is the purpose of range data type in Python? What is the purpose of range data type? It is not string, it is str. Good, good. What is the purpose of range? What is the purpose of range data type? Range data type helps us to store a sequence of positive integers. I can store sequence of integers with equal interval. Okay. So if I want to store a sequence of integers with equal interval, then I can use range data type. Yes, that is the purpose of range data type. Is range a mutable or immutable object? What kind of object is range? Good, good, good going. What kind of object is range? Is it mutable or immutable? It is immutable object. Okay. So whatever the objects that we will build using range data type, those objects are immutable. What do you mean by immutable? Immutable means the objects that got created once in the memory, we cannot change, we cannot edit, or we cannot, add, or anything cannot be done on the object once it got created in the memory in the same location. Okay, the same address where the object is getting stored, we cannot change them, we cannot edit them. Good. Does range objects support indexing? Do range objects support indexing or not? Yes, they do support indexing. Do range objects support slicing? Yes, they also support slicing. What is the difference between indexing and slicing? Indexing versus slicing. What makes the difference? I want everyone to answer. Don't sit silent. So all these data types have been covered, and today we are going to start a new category data types. It is called list category data type. Before that, indexing versus slicing is, what is indexing? Indexing is nothing but accessing a single value. Slicing is accessing a range of values. We can access a group of values. Good, good, wonderful. Right. So let us start a new topic today where we will be understanding list category data types, the next category data types that we have in the sequence. Okay. So within the 6 types, the third type is list category data types. The purpose of list category data types is to store multiple values. Okay, we can store multiple values inside list category data types, either of same type or different type. So that means you can have the values of belonging to same type, or we can also have the values coming from different type. If not, you can have a combination of them. But this is the important point where these values can be unique or duplicates. It also allows to have duplicates inside list category data types. Okay, so that means in short, I can have the purpose of using list category data types is it helps us to store multiple values. I can store multiple values, and these values can be of same type. They can belong to same data type, or they can also belong to different data type. Even this is also accepted, where it allows the unique values as well as duplicates. So that means I can also have x1 again. Making sense? So the two different types of data types that we have under list category are list and tuple. They are list and tuple. So today we are going to start the list data type that we have under list category data types. Okay, where we will be understanding the purpose of list. Then how are we going to organize the data inside a list? Okay, does list support indexing and slicing or not is what we are going to understand. Additionally, we are going to come up with many predefined functions that help us to work on list, like append, insert, pop with index, pop, remove, copy, then index, count, extend, sort, reverse, update. So these are some of predefined functions which help us to work on list. Okay, so for each and every function, we'll be understanding how it works, and we'll come up with n number of examples. Okay, later on, we'll also discuss what is inner or nested list. Okay, so by the time you should have a knowledge, list is represented using square braces, right? So if you have list inside a list, it is nothing but inner list or nested list. Okay. And what kind of operations we are going to apply on a list, on the inner list as well, and some predefined functions on inner list. So all these will be covered as part of list topic. Probably today we'll be understanding till the predefined functions on list. Right? So without no further delay, let us go and start the topic. It is list data type under list category data type. Okay. So what is the purpose of list? Before that, list is again one of the predefined class. It's a predefined class like other data types. Okay. It is again a predefined class which is treated as a list category data type. It is treated as a list category data type. The purpose of list is to store multiple values. I can have multiple values inside a list, either of same type or different type or both. Okay, I can have the values coming from the same data type. So that means I can have all the values being as int, belonging to int data or float data or bool, complex, str, accepted. If not, I can have a combination of all these data type elements. Yes, where they can be unique or even duplicates are also accepted. So here we have the important points for list. Let us understand all these points. Then we'll go to the hands-on part. Okay. So when it comes to the list elements, all the elements should be written inside square braces only. So within the square braces, we are going to keep the elements of list, and these elements should be comma separated. We have to use comma to separate the values of list. And the object list maintains insertion order. So whatever the order that we are going to pass, I mean in which order we are going to store the elements of a list, the order is maintained. Okay, in which order we are going to insert the data, in the same way the data is getting displayed. The order doesn't change. Then coming to mutable or immutable concept, list belongs to a mutable category. It is a mutable object. It means list can be changed or can be edited even once it got created in the memory. Once if I create a list, still I can go and change it. That is what mutable means, right? So we'll understand how list is mutable. Why it is called mutable, we'll understand. Then coming to indexing and slicing operations, list supports both indexing and slicing. Okay, we can access one value at a time or multiple values at a time. Then what if I want to convert other values into list type is using list function. Okay, so there is a function, it is called list. If I want to convert other data type elements, other data type values to list, I can directly use this list function. And in general, there are two types of list objects. They are empty list and non-empty list. What is empty list and what is non-empty list? Empty list is nothing but, a list which does not contain any elements, empty. So it just has the length equals to 0. When you get the length of this list, it returns 0. That is called as empty list. What about non-empty list? Non-empty list are the list which are going to have the length greater than 0. Right? So they'll have some elements inside the list, and because of this, the length will not be 0, it will be greater than 0. Probably you might have got some knowledge on list data type. Now let us go and do some hands-on to understand list more. I'll move back to Spider. Okay. So I'm just continuing. If I want to create an empty list, right? If I want to create an empty list, here we have the syntax. The syntax is just using the square braces. Just keep a variable name, okay, and assign empty square braces to it. So this is going to create an empty list. If not, using list function, I can create an empty list. But what if I want to create a non-empty list? Just pass the values inside square braces. If you pass values inside the square braces, this will become a non-empty list because we have elements inside it, right? It cannot be empty list. It becomes a non-empty list. So here we have the syntaxes. Now let me go and create, list. I'll start creating list. So in line number 943, I'm going to create a list object. Okay. And we know that the list object elements should be present inside square braces and the values, the element should be comma separated. Right. So starting, I'm going to take all the values of same data type. I'm going to have list of int values. All of them belongs to int data type 10, 20, 30, 40, 10, 20. Will it execute? Yes, it will execute. I can have unique values like 30 and 40. I can also have duplicate values like 10 and 20. Both are supported by list. So when I execute, focus, it got executed, and in the variable explorer, you see the name of the variable is L1. The type is list. Okay. So because it understood the values are present inside the square braces, and moreover the values are separated by comma, and it have assigned list data type where the size is 6. The size is 6. How it is 6? In total there are 6 elements, 6 values. So that is the reason it has written size as 6. And here is the list values. And the advantage of Spider is you can open it. Just double click on it. You can open the list. I can clearly see here L1 is a list object of 6 elements. And for each and every value, we also have the type. We have the type along with the index number. So that means at index 0, 10 got stored. In the same way, at index 5, 20, element 20 has stored. Right? So it will maintain the insertion order. Right? So when I print L1, it is going to print the list as it is along with its type. So what will be the output? The output will be as it is 10, 20, 30, 40, 10, 20. Then after printing L1, it is also going to print type of L1 where I'll get the output as list, class list. It is a predefined class, right? So that is the reason you'll get the output as class list. Then coming to line number 945, what are we doing here? I'm using a function. It is length function, len, which is used to return the size of an object. What is the object that I am passing inside? I am passing list object, which allows us the length function is going to return the size of list object L1. Anyhow, I have the information here. It is 6. But still, let us get the same output using length function. So the answer should be 6. Clear? Good. Then let us go to the next example. Will line number 947 execute or not? Line number 947. Yes, it will. List can have elements or the values belonging to the same data type, or list can also have the elements or the values from different data type elements. Okay, an integer, a str data, then a float data, bool, and again an str is what I am going to use. And I'm going to store all these values or the elements from different data type elements is what I'm going to do. I'll be storing in L2. I'll be storing it in L2. You see here it got executed. What is the size of L2? It is 5. Let us open it. It is clearly written here. For each and every value, for each and every element, we have the type along with its index and size. Okay. Why it is 6 for Rosam? Because there are 6 characters and the type that was used is str to store Rosam. You know, str type has been used to store the sequence of characters. In the same way, to store Python, str type has been used. Good going, good going. Why it is 6? There are 6 characters in Python. But again, the question rises. I also have 4 characters in true, right? But I see the size of true is 1. No. True belongs to bool data type. Okay. In order to store Boolean values like true and false, by default, bool data type will be used. So the size of true is only 1. It is not 4, friends. Right? Now let me print L2 along with its type. Done. Good. What will be output for line number 949? 949 will give me the output as 5. Length of L2 will return me the size of list L2. It is 5. Good, good. Done. What am I doing in line number 951? I'm going to print L1 along with its type and also ID. ID function is what I'm going to use, which will return me the address of L1, list 1. Okay. So let us get all of this in a single go. Yep. We got the list along with its type and ID. Then what am I doing in line number 953? In line number 953, I am going to, update the values. In L1 at index position 2, I am going to update the value to 300. So what is the value that we have at L1 at position 2, index position 2? It is 30, right? So is it possible for us to update the value to 300? Yes, we can. How? Because list being mutable, line number 953 will execute, friends. See, the moment we have executed line number 953, we are able to see the output, how the value get updated from 30 to 300. So this will make sure that list is a mutable object. So within the same address, in the same object, I am able to update the values. I'm able to change the values. It means list is a mutable object. List is mutable object. Good. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to print the same, the list, the values where we have the updated values, then the type along with its ID, which means the address. So you see here in the same address, here and here the address is same. So in the memory, okay, at this address, the value is got updated in the list. So this make sure that list is a mutable object. List is a mutable object. Good. Then both indexing and slicing operations are performed on list. What are we doing in line number 956? We are applying indexing operation where I am going to access the value at index position 2 from L1. On the list object L1, I am going to access only a single value at index position 2. So this will give me what will be the output for line number 956? What are the values? 10, 20, 300, 40, 10, 20. This is my list. Starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Again, index can also be negative when you go in the reverse direction. -5, -6. Right? So when you try to use, when you are accessing the second index value from L1, it is 300. In the same way, give me the output for line number 956. Oh, sorry, 957. What are we using here? I'm using the concept of slicing. Slicing means, we are going to get a range of characters, a range of values. I'm using syntax 1 under slicing. Begin index, end index. 2:5. What does it have to return? It has to return the element at 2, 3 and 4. That means 300, 40 and 10 should be the output. Good. 300, 40, 10 should be the output for line number 957. Then 958, 958 colon 2. Okay, there is no begin index, there is no end index. So by default, it will consider the entire object, but the step value that we have is not 1, it is 2. So it starts at 10. Then what will be the next value? Step size is 2. 0 plus 2 will be 2. So the next value will be 300. Then 2 plus 2 will be 4. So the next value will be 10 again. 10, 300, 10 will be the output for line number 958. What will be the output for line number 959? What will be the output for line number 959? Keep going, keep going. For line 59, the entire list will be written in reverse direction. Why? You see, for the step size, we have negative sign. Okay, anyhow, it is 1. So, in the reverse direction, it will be printed as it is. Good. So, the output will be 20, 10, 40, 320, 10. Okay, let me execute all of them. Let us cross check our output. It should be 300, 340, 10, then 10, 310, and the entire list in reverse direction. Good. Right? So we have understood all the operations like indexing and slicing on list. Now, let me create whatever we have created so far are non-empty list. Because in non-empty list, we'll have elements and the length of a list will be greater than 0. It is greater than 0. But now, let me go and create empty list. How can I create an empty list? By just taking square braces and don't pass any value or element inside it. And I say in this square braces to an object, a variable, so that will create a empty list. In line number 961, I am going to create an empty list. See, L3 is a list object which has no value inside it. Okay, there is no value, there is no element, the size is 0. What am I going to do? I am going to print the list, empty list as it is along with its type. So I'll get the empty list with a list. When I try to get the size using length function, it has to return 0. Good. Simple. Is there any other way to create empty list apart from using square braces? Yes. We have the function list function. Take it and don't pass any values inside it. It will create a empty list, and that empty list I'm going to assign to a variable, an object L4. So even L4 is an empty list of size 0. Size will be obviously 0, empty list. Right? So I'm going to print L4 along with its type, and length of L4 will return me, 0. Simple. So far, we have understood how we can make list, okay, and the values inside the list. I can have the same type values or different type values and ensure that these values are inside square braces and they are separated by comma. That becomes a list. It is a list object, right? We have understood list is a mutable object. Then we have understood both indexing and slicing operations on list, right? Now let us go to the core concepts of list. They are predefined functions that help us to work on list. Okay, the first and the foremost important predefined function is append. It is append. What is append? Append is a function. Okay, it is a function. You see, next to append we have regular braces. So it's a function. Append is a function which helps us to add, the elements to a list object at the end. So whenever you have a list object and if you want to add an element to it at the end, we can directly use append function. Here we have the syntax. The syntax is your list object dot append function, and within the function braces pass the value, pass your element, and this element will be added to this list at the last position. Okay, so for that purpose we use append function. In short, append function helps us to add the elements to an existing list at the last position. right? So let us go and work out on some examples. What are we doing in line number 974? Creating an empty list and assigning to object L1. See, observe. The moment I'm executing, how the values in the variable explorer are changing is what you have to observe, right? Yes. Append is a method. Agreed. What is a method? It's a function, right? We'll discuss what makes the difference. We'll discuss. No issues. Right? Now I'm going to print list L1 along with its type and address. So I have L1 at this particular address in the memory. What am I going to do? I'm going to add an element 10 using append function. Okay. So inside append function, the value is being passed. So that means 10 will be added to L1. Observe carefully. I'm going to execute. Done. Now let me open it. I have a value. I have an element inside L1. Earlier there is no element. Now we are able to see an element. It is 10. Then in order to cross check whether this 10 got added to L1 or not, I am going to print L1 type and ID. Okay. So when I print ID, I'll get the address, right? So if the address matches, obviously it got added to the same object. So the address you see here before appending and after appending is same. Obviously 10 got added to this empty list. List being mutable, we can add, we can remove, we can change the values present inside a list. Right? Then what happens if I execute line number 980? 980. I'm going to use append function where I'm going to append row sum to L1. In L1, what are the values that I have? I have 10. Okay. So next to 10 at the last position at the end of L1 list, row sum gets added. Then next to it, I'm also going to append one more value, a float value. It is 23.45. Let me execute. Observe here. In the variable explorer, observe the changes. Done. At the last, 23.45 got added. Now, I am going to print L1, then the type along with its ID for confirmation. Yes. So to the same object, the values got added. Both str data and float data. Clear? Good. Now, let me take a list of str data alone. Okay. So where I'm going to have apple, banana and kiwi, all fruit names. Okay. Is it accepted? Will line number 984 execute? Yes. 984 will execute. Why? I can have elements or the values inside a list from same type or different type. So accepted. So L2 is a list type which has three values. Let me open it. So these are the three values. The first one is apple, banana and kiwi. And for each and every value, we also have the size. Good, good. Then post executing, I'm also going to print the list to the console along with its type and ID. Okay. Now using append function, I'll be appending one more str data to the same L2, to the same list object. Where does strawberry is going to add to this L2 at the last position. Okay, berry gets added to L2 when I execute line number 987 at the end position C. Good. So I'm going to print the output, the updated list. It is apple, banana, kiwi, berry, followed by list and the ID, the address. Clear? Good. Now let us go and understand the next function that we have that can be used on list. The next function is insert function. Okay, like how append is going to help us to add elements to an existing list at the last. In the same way, insert function helps us to insert the values, insert the elements at a specified or valid index position. Whatever the specified index or the position that we come up with, so this insert function helps us to insert the values at that position. The syntax is very simple, friends. The syntax is again common to append, but it will take two parameters. It is like list object dot insert function where we have to pass index then the element. First you have to pass index then element. Okay, and within this syntax I can pass either a positive or negative value for the index. Yes, index can be positive or negative. Accepted. Here we have an example. What am I doing here? I'm taking a list of str data where I have apple, banana and kiwi fruits. Okay. So I can execute, it will execute. It will not throw any error. It will execute. Then what am I doing next to it? I'm going to print the list along with its type and ID. Accepted. Now I'll go and use insert function. So this insert function, the syntax is list object dot insert function. Within the function pass two values, two arguments. One is index and the other one is element. So that means at index 1, okay, so within this list, let us understand the indexes 0, 1, 2. So if I want to insert Goa at index 1, right? So when I execute line number 98, so this banana will be pushed back and I'll have the output as apple, Goa, banana and kiwi. Okay, so let me execute 995. I'm going to create a list object, then printing it. I'm going to use insert function to insert a fruit at index position 1. Done. Now let me print it. Is it making sense? Good. Then what are we doing in line number 1001? To the same list, I also want to add one more fruit, watermelon, okay, at the same index. Is it possible? Will line number 1001 execute or not? Will line number 1001 execute? No, 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 no. It will execute. See, we have the updated list here. It is apple, guava, banana and kiwi. So this is the updated list. right? The values in the list. To this list, I want to insert watermelon at index 1, right? So what happens? It will execute, but next to apple, we'll have watermelon, then guava. So let me execute. The size becomes 5. The size becomes 5. It is not 4, friends. It will be 5. Apple, watermelon, guava, banana, and kiwi. So at the same location, at the same address in the memory, we have this object created, the list object, and we are making the changes in the same object. Okay, it will be 5. It will not be 4. Good. Clear? So we have also understood insert function. Append function will help us to add the elements by default at the last, and insert function helps us to insert the elements or the values at a specified index position. Right? The next function that we are going to understand is remove. The next function that we are going to understand is remove function. What does this remove function does? Let us understand. Remove is a function which helps us to remove the first occurrence of a specified element. Okay. So within the list, if you want to remove any of the element, okay, so the first occurrence will be removed, friends. What does it mean? Does list allow duplicates? Yes. List allow duplicates. So if we are trying to remove an element where the number of occurrences for the element is more than 1, the first occurrence for the element will be removed. Okay. What if the specified element is not present in the list object? Then we get a value error. Okay. Whatever the element that you are going to remove from the list, if it is not present inside the list object, you'll get value error. Okay, and the syntax is given here. The syntax is again similar. List object dot remove, in the parenthesis pass the element that has to be removed. Yes. So let us work out on some examples. What am I doing here? I'm creating a list object. Okay, a list object is being created with the elements belonging to str data, str type, right? So all of the 4 are belonging to the same type. It is str. Anyways, it will execute. And this list is stored in an object L2. Then I am going to use remove function. Okay, there the syntax will be L2 dot remove. Okay, I'm just following the syntax. Object dot remove function. Okay, so within the remove, what am I going to pass? I'm passing an element. So I just want to remove banana from the list object. So obviously when I execute line number 1013, the element banana will be removed and the size gets reduced to 3. Here we have 4, so it becomes 3. Good. Keep going. Let me execute. I'll create the list initially, then I'm printing it. Now I'll remove banana using remove function from the list object. Done. So if you see, we don't have banana no more in the list object, and I'm printing the results to the console. In the same way, can I also remove kiwi? Yes, we can also remove kiwi. Will line number 1016 execute or not? 1016. Will it execute or not? Yes or no? If yes, what will be the size? 1016, will it execute? Okay. All of my friends says yes. Everyone is keeping it as yes. But my answer is, this line will throw me error. It will not execute. It does not execute. Why? Why it will not execute? I have kiwi in the list, right? I have kiwi. But friends, do we have kiwi which is in lowercase? No, I have kiwi which is in proper case. Both are not same. Python is case sensitive. You are supposed to focus. Both are not same. Kiwi that I have in the list is in proper case, where K is in uppercase and rest of the characters are in lowercase. But I'm trying to remove an element kiwi which is in lowercase. Both are not same. So this has to result as a value error. If you are trying to remove an element which is not present in the list object, it has to throw value error back. So let us execute line number 1016 and check whether we are going to get error or not. Yes, it says X not in list. Nothing but the kiwi that you are trying to remove is not in list. Good. In the same way, what will be the output for 1017? What will be the output for 1017? Again, I'll get a value error. Yes. Why? Do I have 100 in the list? No. There is no 100 element in the list object. So again, I have to get a value error. Clear? Good. Good, guys. Now, let me create a new list. Okay. Where I have int type. Okay. All of the values belong to int type. So I have duplicates as well as unique values, right? So let me execute line number 1019 as well as 1020. I'm going to print the values to the console. Now, I want to remove 10 from the list object. Okay. So the 10 which I have at index 0 will get removed, or the 10 that I have at index position 3 gets removed. Which 10 is going to remove? Which 10 will it remove from the list object L1? If I execute line number 1022. Good. If I execute line number 1022, it will remove the first occurrence in the data. Okay. In the list, what is the first occurrence? So this is my first occurrence. So obviously the 10 which is at index position 0 gets removed, and it does not disturb the 10 which we have at index position 3. Let me print it. See. Even you have the same values in the variable explorer in the memory. Right. In the same way, what will be the output for line number 1025? 1025. Good. Will remove the element, the specified element which is occurring for the first time. Okay. Wherever the first occurrence we have, that element will be removed. So 20 that we have at index position 0 gets removed, and the 20 that we have at index position 3 will not be disturbed. See, you'll have as it is. I hope remove function is also clear, right? Good. Now let us understand the next function. It is pop. Pop with index. Okay. What does this pop function does? The pop function with index is used to remove the elements, the values based on the existing index. Whatever the index that we pass inside the function of pop, that will be used to remove the elements. So again, as we are using index in the picture within the function, that can be either positive or negative. Index can be positive or negative within the function, right? And the syntax for the pop function is given here. It is similar again. List object dot pop of index. What if you pass a invalid index inside the function? If you pass an invalid index, you'll get index error. Like how we are able to get value error in the previous case, in the same way, if you pass an invalid index, you'll get index error, right? Now let me go and work out on examples. I have a list of str data, str type elements. I'm going to print them. Then what is the element that I want to remove? Which element I'm going to remove from line number 1037? What value did we specify for the index? It is 4. So apple takes 0, banana will be 1, kiwi will be 2, Goa will be at index position 3, banana will be at index position 4. So that means I am going to remove, banana from the list object. Okay. So this is going to remove banana from the existing list L2. Let me execute. It will return me banana alone. And when I print the updated list, it does not have banana anymore. Banana got removed. Which banana? The banana that we have at the last position in the list object. Tell me the output for line number 1040. 1040. What are we doing here? In 1040, we are going to remove the element that we have at index position 1. What is the element that we have at index position 1? It is banana again. Yes. So when I execute 1040, again the other banana that we have will be removed, and you'll just have only 3 elements as part of the list. See, here we have the 3 elements. Good. What will be the output for line number 1043? For 1043. From the same list object, I want to remove the element that we have at index position 11. There are only 3 values. There are only 3 elements. Is it possible to remove the element at position level? No. We'll get index error. Good. When you pass an invalid value for index, you'll get index error. In the same way, what output you are going to get for 1045? For 1045, again you are going to get an index error. Why? This is an empty list, and from empty list we are trying to remove an element which is present at index 10. So invalid index number. So it has to return index error again. 1047. L2 dot pop of -1. L2 dot pop of -1. which element will be removed? -1, which represents the last element when we come in the reverse direction. So it is nothing but Goa. So that gets removed and we'll have only 2 elements in the list. Good. Then -2. L2 dot pop of -2 will remove which element from the updated list? Tell me the output for line number 1050. For 1050, you know, Apple gets removed. Apple gets removed. Why? Kiwi takes index -1. Apple takes the value -2. So when I execute line number 1050, Apple will be removed from the existing list object. So let me print it here. So I have only a single value inside the list L2 and it is Kiwi. What am I doing here? 1053. Pop of 1. Pop of 1 will return me. Will it remove Kiwi or what? What it is going to do? Line number 1053. No friends. It will not remove Kiwi. Kiwi is at index position 0. It is at index position 0. How it will remove? I just kept the index as 1. So it has to return an index error. Pay attention. Good. Index error is what we get here. It does not remove Kiwi from the existing list because we have Kiwi at 0th index. Keep going, keep going. Don't stop. Right? Now, let us understand the same pop function without index. Okay. So far, we have understood the pop function with index. Right? So this function, the pop function that we are going to use, by default, it is going to remove the last positive indexed value. Okay. So within the list object, the last positive indexed value will be removed by default. The syntax is same. You need not pass any index inside it. But in the previous case, we have passed index. Accordingly, that specific element has been removed. But pop function without index. By default, it removes the last positive indexed element. Okay. So let us work out on some of examples where I am going to, create a object, list object with 5 values. There are 5 elements and all of them belong to the same data. It is str. Str data is what I have. Okay. Then I'm printing the list object. So what happens if I execute line number 1062? 1062. By default, the last positive indexed element is banana. So that gets removed. So 5 became 4, the size became 4 and the last element banana got removed from the list object. Good. Then what am I doing in line number 1065? In 1065, what are we doing? I'm using insert function to insert a value at index position 1. The syntax is list object dot insert function and within the function 2 values has to be passed. One is index value and the next one is the element, the value. So to this L2 list object, I want to insert sberry at index 1. So what will be the size of L2? It becomes 5 again. So sberry has been added at index 1. Good. We used insert function. Yep. Tell me what if I execute 1068? I'm going to use pop function. Pop. Pop function. When I use pop function, what is the last element? It is Goa. So it will remove the Goa from the list object L2. And 5 will become 4 again. See, it will be 4 again. Then, what if I use pop function on empty list? Will it throw any error? Because I am not passing any index here. But in the previous case, it has thrown me error. Now, it will not throw any error. It just execute as it is. When you're trying to remove the data, when you're trying to remove an element from the empty list, it will throw an index error. Because we don't have any elements inside this empty list. Nothing. Right? So you'll get an index error as we are trying to remove the last element from the list. As there are no elements inside the list, you are going to get an index error. Clear? Good. So we are also clear on the function of pop. Now let us go and understand the next function. It is clear. There is also a function called clear. So this particular function clear helps us to, remove all the elements from the list object. So if I use clear function from the list object, all the elements, all the values present in the list object will be removed. What does the syntax see? The syntax is list object dot clear function. List object dot clear function. Okay. When you try to clear an empty objects like list, okay, when you are trying to work on empty list objects, and if you are going to use clear function on it, it will not throw any errors. Okay. So especially if you are using pop function on empty objects, empty list objects, it is throwing us error, right? But clear function will not throw any error. That makes the difference. And here we have a few examples. Okay. So let me execute quickly. I have a list of 5 elements, all belonging to the same type. It is str. Then I'm going to print them, and the size is the length function will return the size where I get 5. Good. So what if I execute L2 dot clear? If I keep my syntax as L2 dot clear function, so all the elements within the list object will be removed. So focus, here we have the size as 5 for L2 object. Once if I execute line number 1084, we get the size 0. The elements that are present inside this list will be removed by clear function. Let me print it. So I get an empty list object. Right? Where the size is 0. The length function is going to return the size. It is nothing but 0. But what if I use clear function on empty list objects? So it is an empty list object and I'm trying to use clear function on it. So this will never return an error. It will just execute as it is. That's it. Because there is nothing present in the list to clear, to remove, right? In the same way, even if I execute 1089, it just executes without throwing any error. keep going, right? So apart from here, there is a keyword called del. Okay, there is a keyword called del. It's we perform del operation to delete the elements of the list. Okay, so based on the indexing, so there is an operation called del. Okay, this is a keyword in Python which helps us to delete the elements of a list object based on indexing, slicing, or it also helps us to remove the entire object. The entire object can be removed from the memory using del keyword. Okay, now let us understand how this del keyword helps us to remove the elements, delete the elements from the list object. Okay, I'm going to create a list object and store it in L2. Then what am I doing? First of all, understand what is L2 of 1. L2 of 1 is nothing but banana, because in list L2, which element do we have at position 1? It is banana, right? So del of L2 of 1 represents, it is going to delete the element which is present at this index. Okay, so how am I going to delete the element is, the first step is I'm going to use indexing concept. This is representing banana. So del keyword that we have in Python helps us to delete the element. It deletes banana from the existing list. So we'll have only 4 elements post executing line number 1096. Yep, good. So let me execute line number 1096. Done. I'm also going to print it. So I don't have banana which is present initially at index 1. Then tell me what elements will be deleted if I execute 1099. You see here we have the updated list. So taking this updated list, you know, the values that are present in the updated list, I want you guys to respond for line number 1099. Which elements will be deleted by del keyword? Good. So I'm using slicing now. Del keyword followed by L2 of 1 colon 3. What is 1? At index position 1, I have kiwi. At index position 2, I have Goa. So these two objects will be deleted from the object list object L2. So I'll have only 2 elements, that is apple and banana. Let me execute line number 1099. Yes. Let me also print it. I see the output where there are only 2 elements, that is apple and banana. Good, good, good. Now I'm going to create a new list back, okay, with the same elements and just printing as it is. Tell me the output for line number 1105. 1105. What values is it going to remove from line number 1105? So it is going to remove apple, kiwi and banana. How come? Because I'm using slicing again. I'm using slicing again, where by default it starts at 0th index. So apple will be removed first. Then 0 plus 2 is 2. What value do we have at index position 2? It is kiwi. So kiwi will be deleted. Then 2 plus 2 is 4. At index position 4 we have banana, and even banana will be removed. So that means three fruits, three elements will be removed when I execute 1105 line. Let me execute that. Done. So I just see only two elements. It is banana and Goa. Good, good. What are we doing in line number 1108? Am I deleting only elements? No. I am going to delete the entire list object. Even using del keyword, we can also delete the entire object. That is possible. Okay. So I'm going to delete the entire list object in line number 1108. See, no more I have list list object L2. There is no object L2 in the memory. Why? Because it got deleted permanently. So when I try to print L2, I should get an error. Name error is what I'll get because L2 is not defined. Previously it got defined, but when I executed line number 1108, it was permanently removed from the memory, and again you have to define it. If you just go and print L2, you'll get name error. Keep going. Okay. Then what are we doing? I'm going to create one more list with the same elements, then printing it. Then what happens if I execute triple one fourth line? DL, then followed by L2 of colon colon. What does it mean? What happens if I execute line number triple one fourth line? Keep going. Will it delete the entire L2 object or what? What it is going to do? It will not remove or it will not delete the list object. It will just delete the elements that are present inside the list object. So that means all these elements will be removed. When I execute triple one fourth line. Why? Because we have told that, consider all the elements colon colon, which means from start till stop. Just delete all the elements present in the list. So let me print it. I should get a empty list. It will not delete the list object. We have the list object, but there are no elements inside it. Okay. I'm just creating the object again with the elements. Now, this time, what if I run 1120th line? 1120. 1120th line, where I am going to delete the object directly. The entire object will be deleted, not the elements, friends. Okay, the entire object will be deleted. So when you try to print the object again, you'll have to get a name error. Okay, so that makes the difference between the previous line and the current line. Okay, right. Now let us understand One more important function that can be used on list objects is index function. What is this index function? What is the purpose of using index function is this particular index function helps us to find the index of the specified element. Whatever might be the element, if you want to find the index of that element, you can get using index function. Okay. So when you try to get or access the index value of an element, and what if that element is not existing in the list, you'll get a value error. You'll get a value error. And here we have the syntax for index function. Okay, the syntax is same. List object dot index function. Within the index function, pass the element to which we are supposed to find the index value. And if this particular element is not present in this object, you'll get a value error. Okay, even we are also discussing about errors, friends. So you are supposed to pay attention, right? Now let us go and have an hands-on session on index function. So I'm going to create a list object where we have elements coming from different types. We have data from int, str and bool. Let us print it. Yes. So this is my list object of size 8. Of size 8. What am I doing in line number 1131? I'm using index function to access, to find the index of Python, okay, element present in list object L1. So what will be the output for line number 1131? For 1131, just count the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously the output will be 4. The output will be 4. Then let me create one more list object L2. Let me print it. And what will be the output for line number 1136? Where I'm going to use index function to find the index of element 10 present in L2 list object. So what will be the output? Will it be 0 or will it be 2? What will be the output for 1136? Keep going. The output for 1136 will be 0, the first occurrence. Wherever we have the first occurrence for the element, that by default, the index for the first occurrence will be written as output. For 1137, what will be the output? I want to find the index value of element 100 in list object L2. First of all, do we have 100 in the list? No, there is no element 100 in the list object. So this will return me a value error. A value error is what it returns. 100 is not in list. Simple, right? Now let us go and understand one more simple function. It is count. Count function helps us to return the count. Okay, so it is going to return us the number of occurrences. It helps us to find the number of occurrences for a specified element within the list object. Okay, if there is an element and if I want to get the count of a specific element within this object, I can get using count function. Okay, what if you are trying to get the count of an element which is not present inside the list object? So the output will be 0. If you are trying to get the count of an element which is not existing in the object of list, okay, the output will be 0. And here we have the syntax. The syntax for the count is list object dot count function. Within the count function, you have to pass the element to which you are supposed to find the count. Okay, so let us do work out on some examples. I am coming up with a list where we have duplicates. Okay, there are duplicate values and let me create it. Got created. I'm also printing it. Done. Now I'll use count function to get the count of element 10, value 10. So first of all, do we have 10 in the list object L1? Yes. So let us count what is output. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So for line number 1148, the output should be 4. Good. Simple. Whatever element, if you want to get the count, the frequency, you can do it using count function. Okay. The number of occurrences can be returned as output by count function. Just pass the element inside the count function and it is going to return the count of the specific element. What will be the output for line number 1149? What element I want to, for element 20, I want the count 1, 2, and 3. So line number 1149, the output will be 3. 1150. I want the count of element 30. Do we have 30? Yes. 1, 2. So that means for line number 1150, the output will be 2. Count of 40. Do we have 40? Yes. So for line number 1151, the output will be 1. Keep going, keep going. I want the count of line for 1152. What will be the output? Where I want the count of 400. I want the output for line number 1152. Here. 400 is not present inside the list. So when you try to get the count of an element which is not existing in the list, the count for that element will be 0. So for line number 1152, the output should be 0. Good. What will be the output for line number 1153? I want the count of str type data. It is NEUT. What will be the output? It will be 0 again. It will be 0. Why? I don't have this kind of element inside the list object. So if you don't have the element present in the list object, the count will be 0. It will be returned 0. Let me execute. So for the count of 400, it is 0. And if I want to get the count of NEUT, the count is again 0. Clear? Good. Now let us understand the next function. It is extend. It is extend. What is the purpose of using extend function in list? Extend function helps us to extend the functionality of one list object with other list object. So especially if you have two lists. Okay. So this extend function helps us to extend the functionalities of one list with other list. Here we have the syntax. So taking the list object 1 dot extend of list object 2. So one list should be passed inside the extend function to which the list object 1, the list object 2 gets extended to list object 1. Right? It's nothing but it is going to add the elements of list object 2 to list object 1. All the elements of list object 2 will be added to list object 1. Right? So let us work out on some examples. I have two lists. I am naming it as L1 and L2. I am just printing them. Okay. Here we have the list L1 and L2. Both are of size 3 and 3. There are three elements in both L1 and L2. Now I am going to use extend function. Okay. Right. So this extend function is going to extend the functionalities of list 1, where the elements of list 2, L2 will be added to L1. Let me execute line number 1165. Focus on the variable explorer friends. See. So previously it is 3, but now it became 6. What happened? The elements of L2 got added to L1. So that is the reason I see the size becoming 6 for L1. It is extending the size of L1 object, list L1 object. Right? Now, let me print both L1 and L2 to the console. So L1 has 6 values, but L2 will have the 3 values as it is. The values of L2, they got added to L1. That is the task of or the functionality of extend function. What is the purpose of extend? So this is the main purpose of extend function. Okay, so we have three lists. I'm taking three lists, L1, L2 and L3. All of these three lists have same size of elements, 3, 3, 3, right? Let me print all of them to the console for understanding. Now, will line number 1177 execute or not? Will line number 1177, will it execute or not? What do you see? L1 dot extend of L2 comma L3. So I'm trying to add two list values to L1. Will it execute? 1177. Yes or no? Keep going, keep going. The answer is no. The answer is no, it will not execute. Why? Extend takes only exactly one argument. But how many were given? Two are given. So that means I can give only, it is possible to, give only one argument. But if you are trying to give more than one, you'll get error. Then how can I extend? In the sense, there is, plus symbol which is called addition operator. So using addition operator, I can extend the values I can add the values from one to the other and store finally in a L1 object. Okay, I'll take L1 initially, then I'll take L2, then L3. Then the values of all these three list objects will be added, nothing but they will be added one by one and finally stored in L1. Here I'll get the output as the 9 elements that are present here. Right? So we have understood many functions, right? So there are few more functions that will be used in list data type. Okay, on list data, there are multiple functions that can be used. In today's session, we have discussed 9 different types of functions. right? In the next session, we'll work out on the rest of the functions, and there are few topics that we are going to cover. So the task for today's session will be just complete the functions, come up with the examples for each and every function that we have covered in the session, right? Yep. It is nothing but concatenation. Anyways, we'll explain now. We are going to understand as part of the next classes. So if you feel that the session went well, hit on the like button, friends, before you leave. And also do share across your connections. Okay. Ask them to learn Python because this is free of cost program, right? We are not charging even a single penny. So learn Python effectively and do hands-on. Practice is must and should. If you find any difficulty, if you are facing any kind of errors, do post them in the comment section. We'll respond immediately. Right? So thank you so much for joining. And if you have any kind of technical questions, feel free to ask. Okay? Don't hesitate. Any technical questions and the topics that were being covered in the session. Right? Feedback link has been provided. So before you leave, ensure that you give your valuable feedback. We'll try to enhance our sessions, right? Give your valuable feedback and ensure that you also hit on the like button. It's a kind of support that we will get from your side. Why didn't you can also use complex, friends? Okay. Why did we not use complex data is what the question raised. So we can also use complex. Okay. Then coming to the next question, the difference between append and extend. Append, extend, we are adding, right? In both the cases, we are adding the elements. But the main difference is, this is one of the important questions that was asked in interviews, not only in interviews, in 2025 GATE, okay, even in the GATE paper, they have asked the same question, the difference between append and extend. Okay, the difference between append and extend is, both help us to add the elements. Okay, but when you try to add two lists, especially if there are two lists and if you are trying to use append, so append takes all the elements of the other list as a single element only, but extend, it adds each and every element as an individual element to the previous list. Exactly. Right? That makes the difference between append and extend. Is it clear? Right. So that's all for the day. Again, we'll meet in the next session. Until then, take care. Have a great day. Signing off.